Hey everyone, welcome to the OklaRoots YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're talking back to school. We're talking a back to school must-have that I honestly cannot stop making. Today, we're making the craft case, and this comes to us from Simple Artful Stuff. So let me just show you. There are two sizes. There's the large, and there's the small. And they're both amazing. The small size does hold pencils, pens, everything like that. So I wanted to show you. Let me grab some stuff. This is a small size. Let me just walk you through the pattern first. I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. Here's the small size. And as you can see, you can add some fun decor to it, little flowers. It has a nice long zipper. We're gonna just unzip all this. Whoop. Open it up. It opens up very, very wide. You can fit a lot of fun stuff in there. And you can just have so much fun. This comes together so fast. So fast. So you will be making more than one of these. I could probably put money on that. I'm not going to because I'm not a gambling woman. But I'm going to bet if you try this, you're going to make more than one. So here's the small size. And I just want to show you. Open it up. Here we go. Pens. Yes. Let's see. More pens. Fits in there perfectly, right? Ruler. Here we go. Stiletto. Oh yeah, that fits in there. Look at that. Also, what about this one? This one's pretty big. Oh, okay, this one's too big for there, so we'll have to try that on the big one. But you can fit all the things you need. So while yes, I'm thinking back to school, I'm thinking all the kids need to have one of these in their backpack. I know I'll be making many of these for lots of classrooms this year. This is also great for all of us, for your purse, for your craft room, for your office, for your desk drawer. I mean, this is just a wonderful way to keep things organized, and goodness knows we need that. So here's the small, here's the large. Let me just show you again. Here's the difference in them. Not a huge difference between the small and the large, but let's try the large with some other things as well. Let's see, can we put, on this one I used a lining of quilt cotton, so we can put our rotary cutter in there. This one will fit the large turning tool, lighters. I mean, I have a little bucket here of items, and I can just load this up with pretty much all of them. It just doesn't stop, does it? It's all the things. And then we just zip it up. And look how stinking cute that is. So, lots of fun things you can do with this. Besides blinging it out with lots of different options, rivets, all kinds of things. My goodness, you could really have fun with this. You could also do no lining. So I do want to show you. Anne over at Simple Artful Stuff actually mailed me a printed copy of this pattern with cardstock templates already printed out, cut out, and like all kinds of decor, lots of pre-cut fabric. I mean, Anne spoils me when she sends me a pattern because she sends me like all the pieces to go with it. So of course I right away play with them. Actually, all of this, well, this material, and then I added my own little bling, but the cutouts for the big and the small versions of these were already cut out by Anne. This is her material. I mean, I just couldn't be more grateful. I could not be more grateful. But she sent me a pre-made one. So I want to show you. This is a clear version. I did put some stuff in it. She also sent over a bunch of rivets and then a rivet die to go with it. I mean, all kinds of fun things, but I put it all in here, and she made me a clear pouch version. So you could make this out of clear vinyl, no lining. You can make it out of just vinyl, no lining. You could make it out of waterproof canvas lining. You can make it out of quilt cotton lining. There's a lot of stuff you could do with this. And I love that because it's a scrap buster. It's fun. It's useful. Again, if you make one for your kids, get ready because the rest of the class is going to need one as well. And luckily, this is like a weekend project. I could probably bust out a classroom's worth of pencil cases in a weekend. Mom of the year. I know. So speaking of kiddos, I want to show you one that I did make for my kiddos. And this one is really, really fun. It has a glow-in-the-dark vinyl. It has my tag. I put like a little pendant on there, and then you open it up. On this one, I put just like a regular pull tab. I didn't use the little dome shape. We'll talk about that today in the video. And then I used a water-resistant canvas for the lining because it's quick, it's easy. Doesn't require any interfacing. If you wanted to use a quilt cotton or cotton woven for the exterior, you definitely can, but I would suggest you interface that with maybe like a Decoville Light or a fusible fleece. For the pouch I made with the quilt cotton, so this one here has quilt cotton, cotton woven, lining. I did not interface that at all. I did not add any woven interfacing to it. I just left it as is, and it worked out perfect. So again, like you can use whatever you want here. You really can. It's a great, fun, scrappy project. So thank you so much to Anne over at Simple Artful Stuff for not only sending the pattern and allowing me to use your patterns on my channel, but also like making me these fun items and sending over little accessories and blings. It's so much fun. It's just so much fun. All of the Simple Artful Stuff patterns that I've done so far are very addictive. You can't. She's just the master of knowing the quick project that's so useful and that you're going to decorate. I'm gonna make so many of these. I'm so excited. If you're new to the OklaRoots YouTube channel, please consider clicking subscribe down below. If at any point you like this video, please give it a like. Any questions, comments, shoutouts, anything at all, leave them down in the comment section. I think today in the video, we're gonna make the size large pouch. I will have timestamps, but this is another really quick video. This is a pattern that I consider a stay at the sewing machine type pattern. So in my home, I have a cutting table, kind of a workspace in the middle of the room, and then my sewing machine is off in the corner of the room. So I'm going back and forth a lot. And in some bags, you really have to do that because you have to lay it out, readjust, go back. You do have to do that. This is not one of those projects. This is a project where you just grab all the material you need. It's all very small. You don't have a lot of it. Grab everything you need, take it to the sewing machine, and you just sit at the sewing machine, and you don't have to move your butt off the chair the whole time. You just sit there and make the whole thing, and then it's done. So these are the projects that I personally love, especially when I'm in a bit of a sewing rut and I want to make something, but I really don't want to commit, 6 hours to making something. All right, guys, let's get started. So for this pattern, I would suggest about a fat quarter for the lining, a fat quarter for the exterior. This is a really scrappy, fun project. And then I'm gonna have a little bit, I've got some of this beautiful cork from our monthly box, scraps from that. And so I'm gonna use that scrap to make a little detail on the bag today that I'm excited about. I think I'll also add a couple of these little details. This is the bag that Anne actually made for me when she sent over the pattern, which is so sweet. And she included some of these fun little pre-cut vinyl flowers, so I might stick those on this bag as well. We'll see, but I did want to show you this is the clear version once again. If you just wanted to leave off the lining, you're going to follow everything else the same way, just not add the lining, and you'll have a clear version, which is really cool. So rivets on this pouch are completely optional, but they are a really fun decorative element. I love rivets, so I'm going to add some of these fun rivets. They actually sent over these little dome, mushroom looking rivets. Oh, they're so tiny. They're really, really cute. They're 7mm, and they also sent over the die set for it. Now, I'm not sure where this die set came from. I am going to check Cam Snaps. I think they also have these fun little mushroom rivets, but it does fit my rivet press. I just had to take the base that's normally in here out, and then this fits in just like that, which is great. So another thing I love about the Cam Snap rivet press is that it works with many other things. So I'll be using those, but again, the rivet stuff is completely optional. You don't have to use it. I'll be using a Tex 35 weight thread in the top of the machine, so the needle, and then I'll be using just this Gutermann thread in the bobbin. My needle today is a Microtex 8012. I always have my stiletto on hand. You're going to need a 16-inch zipper for either size pouch today. We are going to be trimming it down. It is longer than you need it to be, but you want it to be longer than you need it to be. I also have a fun little bag tag to put on the bag and some double-sided tape, which is really helpful. Marking tools are always very, very useful here. So I have a sew line marking tool, and then I also have my handy-dandy Kai scissors. So this pattern comes with lots of fun little options and details you can add and all kinds of SVG files so you can cut out fun things, and then you can get creative too, which I highly encourage. Today in the tutorial, I'm going to be making the size long. This is the bigger size. There is a smaller size as well. Both sizes fit pens and pencils just fine, so they will both work as pencil cases. But I'll be making the bigger one today. You can see I have an exterior cut of vinyl, and then I have a lining cut, and this is the water-resistant canvas. On the first bag, I did use quilt cotton with no interfacing whatsoever on it, and it worked out beautifully. So you can definitely use your fun cotton woven quilt cotton material here for the lining. If you're going to use it for the exterior, that's fine as well. Just make sure you do interface it with some sort of a woven interfacing. I'm going to be using this little tab here. This is about 1 inch by 3.5 inches, and this is just going to be a little tab to put on the outside of the bag. And then I have 2 cuts of my water resistant canvas. These are both 3 inches by 1 inches, and I'm just going to wrap these around the inside as binding. It's very, very quick, easy binding. And then as an accent piece, I have this fun cut of cork. So the first couple pieces that I'm going to set up are my zipper tape and my little pull tab. I'm going to just top stitch over the edges of my zipper tape so that when I open the zipper, which I will be doing a lot, it doesn't come undone. And then I'm also just going to top stitch along the edges of my vinyl. I'm not folding this or anything. You definitely could fold it in half if you'd like. You could make it bigger and fold it in, double fold it. I don't mind the raw edges, so I'm just going to top stitch along the edges of this though to make it kind of look nice. It's just a detail that I'm adding, but that's what I'm going to do first to prep. So once these are prepped, I'm just going to set them to the side, and now I'm just going to have some fun with the exterior panel here. You could definitely just leave this as is. For example, on this version here, I had this really fun vinyl, and I didn't want to add anything to it. It glows in the dark. It's awesome. So I just left the panel whole. I just added my bag tag on the outside, and that's it. However, on this one, I want to play with some cork and with some rivets. So what I'm going to do first is find the midpoint on the top and the bottom long edges of my exterior panel. And then I'm also going to mark the midpoint on the short edges of my little cork accent here. So now I'm going to grab some double-sided tape, and I'm just going to add double-sided tape to the long edges of my cork accent. So now using the midpoint on the top and the bottom of my short edges and the midpoint on my exterior panel, I'm going to line this up so that it just is nice and straight and centered on my exterior panel. And using that double-sided tape is going to be helpful for that. All right, so there we have that. So now I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to top stitch along both long edges of this accent cork piece at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So now that I have this top stitch, I'm going to use the template for the wide accent to mark placement for the rivets. However, I do know that these top rivets get a little too close to the zipper, and I also want to have room to put my bag tag somewhere. So I might switch up where we put this. Let's see. So I think on one side, I'm only going to add the rivets on the bottom here, just like that, because I need enough space to put my bag tag over that piece. And then on the other side, I'm just going to add the bottom 2 sets of rivets. It's not that hard if you have the sets of rivets up on the top, but I did find that I ended up needing my presser foot to go over it while I was top stitching by the zipper, which I know can be a little uncomfortable. So I'm just going to do the bottom 2 sets. There we go. So I'm going to have 4 rivets on one side and then 2 on the other side. So now I'm going to punch out the holes for these. All right, now that I have those holes punched out, before I install the rivets, I'm actually going to top stitch on my bag tag, because again, with rivets, it's going to be a little hard to sew right next to them. It's easier for me to rivet right next to something I've already sewn rather than sew right next to something I've already riveted. So I'm going to grab some of my double-sided tape, and this will just hold the bag tag in place. Put it on the back. And I'm going to place this so that it is about 3/4 of an inch down from the top edge. There we go. And just centered on that strip. And again, the rivets are going to be right underneath it, which is totally fine. So now I'm going to top stitch my bag tag on at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, now let's install these adorable little dome or mushroom rivets. They're so cute. So again, these are 7mm, so they're on the smaller size, which I would recommend when you're using rivets for just like dainty kind of accents. Smaller's better. So these rivets have like a long prong and then a little dome, and the long prong goes on the back. It's going to go through the front, and then you can just snap the little dome on it. So I'm going to do this for all 6 of my rivets here. Okay, and once I have them all snapped in place, now I'm just going to quickly press them. So the flat part goes on the bottom die, and then the little round part goes on the top die, at least for this one. All right, so now the exterior is all prepped. I'm going to set the rivets to the side. When I do the flowers, if I do attach the flowers, that's actually going to be at the end of the bag, and it will also go through the lining, so I don't need any more rivets right now. All right, so we have our exterior all ready to go. Let's grab our zipper. I'm going to push my zipper closer to one edge, and I'm going to find the midpoint on my zipper tape. And just make sure you mark both sides of the midpoint on your zipper tape, so this side and this side. So I know that I want this side right here that has my bag tag to be the front. I think, maybe I want it to be the back. No, I think I want this side to be the front, actually, without the bag tag. So I'm gonna have this be the front panel, so that means that when the zipper's closed, it's gonna go to the left on this panel. It doesn't matter that much, honestly, but that's what I like to do. So I'm gonna take my zipper and lay it right side down. My exterior panel is right side up, and I'm gonna match up those midpoint marks. And I'm just gonna clip these right sides together at the midpoint first. And then I'm just gonna work my way around these curves. Now when I do the curves, this is what I do. I'm gonna lift up my zipper tape like this, kind of like a little wall. And I'm just gonna kind of gently turn it and trying to get the edge of the zipper tape to line up with the edge of the exterior panel, just like that. Again, I'm having my zipper tape stand up now. My zipper tape is not flat, but the little lip of the zipper tape is flat where I'm clipping it. There we go, all the way to the end. And do the same thing on the other side. And you can see I have my zipper pull all the way to the edge, which is why we want our zipper tape to be nice and long. So now, before I sew this, where it's curved and the zipper tape is standing up, I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna snip in at about 1/8 of an inch. Just like 3, maybe 4 if you think you need it, little snips. Only in the zipper tape, not in the exterior panel. Okay, so now we're gonna go baste this on at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure you're using a zipper foot and go slow. You shouldn't have that much trouble with these curves. So once you have that side basted on, open up your zipper, which is, again, why we have it, sewed down on the edges. And we're gonna rotate this and take the remaining piece of zipper tape and lay that up and right side down against the other side of your exterior panel. And once again, first line up the midpoint marks. So I clip there on both sides of that clip because as I'm pulling on it, sometimes it shifts. And then once again, I'm just gonna kind of rotate this and I'm gonna go around these curves, lifting the zipper tape up. And I just find that by doing that, lifting it up, it makes it easier to clip this in place. And then once I have it clipped, again, wherever I have these curves, I just clip in only into the zipper tape by about 1/8 of an inch. Just the teeniest, tiniest clip is all you need. It helps the zipper tape spread out just enough so you don't have to worry about things moving around and kind of causing trouble at the machine. Okay, now I'm going to baste along this clipped edge at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So now that we have the zipper basted on, we're going to take the lining and we're going to attach the lining. Now, if you were using a clear vinyl for your exterior and no lining, instead of basting the zipper on, you would just sew it on at 1/4 inch seam allowance. But since we're doing a lining, the basting helps keep everything nice and hidden and easy to put together. So now we're going to take our exterior and lay it right side up. Zipper is right side down. We're going to take our lining and put our lining right side down over the zipper. So now before we attach our lining, just make sure you mark the midpoints on the 2 long edges of the lining. It makes it easier to attach it all in this next step. So now with the exterior right side up, the zipper right side down, we're going to grab our lining and put our lining right side down over the exterior, sandwiching the zipper in between them. And we're going to line up those midpoint marks and just clip along all of the edges that have a zipper tape. So as you go around these corners, just smush that zipper tape out of the way. We don't want the zipper tape to fold on itself or pleat or anything like that. So I just smush it out of the way and add the clips. Attaching this is actually quite a bit easier than basting down the zipper tape. And basting down the zipper tape wasn't that bad, was it? So this is a fun project. So I'm gonna do this for both sides of the bag. Alrighty, all clipped together. So now along both clipped edges, I'm gonna sew at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you have these sewn on, I like to go around the curved bits and just make little cuts. I'm getting close to the thread, but not like terribly close to the thread. This is just going to allow these corner bits to spread out more. If you have a bit of a bigger seam allowance here, sometimes when we go around the corners, our seam allowance kind of grows. You can trim down the seam allowance a little bit, so just take your scissors and just shave it down in half, and that will also help have nice smooth curves right there. I'm just gonna go around all 4 corners doing this. Okay, so now carefully, making sure I don't lose my zipper pull, I'm gonna turn this whole thing out through one of the holes. I like to turn it out through the hole over here where the zipper pull is not. It's actually pretty easy to do. You just kind of have to push it in. I like to push in the other edge first, grab it with my right hand, and then pull it out this hole, nice and gentle. Stitches should be okay. It's the fabric that might rip here, so you gotta just be real gentle. All right, once I have this turned out, I'm just gonna use my fingers to press out the corners. Okay, and then what I like to do, especially since I'm using vinyl, is I'm gonna use clips to get this seam just like I want it. So I kind of press out the seam by the zipper, make sure everything's lined up, and then I grab clips and I clip over the zipper teeth. And that just holds that seam in place the way I want it. So that way I don't have any big, crazy looking bits. Okay, so I have this all clipped, holding the seam the way I need it. I know these clips leave these little teeth mark in here, but that's okay. It's just for a moment. And now what I'm going to do is just top stitch around both sides at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm also going to top stitch the inside of these little rectangles here. So that's going to be top stitching the lining to the exterior. I want everything to be held together really well. Alrighty, we got that all top stitched in place. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of figure out which side I want my tab to go on. So you can zip it up carefully to get an idea of how it's going to look. Don't worry, you're going to be able to push everything out. It's going to look perfect. But do I want the tab to go on this side? You can have two tabs as well if you want different pull tabs. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it on the open side. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to lay this exterior right side up. I'm going to fold my tab in half, wrong sides together, and I'm going to center it right here over this little rectangular opening here. Just going to center it like that. I have it overhanging, let's see how much. I have it overhanging about 5/8 of an inch. It's pretty big, so I'm going to have it overhang about that, maybe 3/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to base this down. The folded edge is going in towards the center, and it's on the right side of the exterior here. Okay, so now you're almost done. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this so that it's exterior on the inside, lining on the outside. I'm going to zip it up a little bit. The zipper is upside down, so just a bit, just like that. And we just have to pretty much box the bottoms now, which is really neat. So what you're going to do is just pinch this down. I have the closed edge of the zipper first. You're going to pinch it down and try to flatten it out, just like you would a box bottom. Now, we do have some dog ears here. I don't worry about that at all. I mean, I think you could try to adjust it. I wouldn't, honestly. We're just going to fold it down like this. Yes, we have these little triangles, which are called dog ears sticking up. It's perfectly fine. I've done this a few times now, and it's always turned out perfect. So I'm going to fold it like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. The other side's a little bit trickier because we do have to kind of fold it in on itself. So you see how it's open? I'm going to fold in the sides like that. So I'm bringing the zipper tape together. And as I do that, I'm going to flip it over and just make sure that the teeth are right up with each other. We don't want them spread out. So there we go. Again, I have those little dog ears, which are the little triangles on the side here. When I'm looking at the bottom, it's not a big deal. There we go. And I have my zipper teeth nice and close together. All right, so now we're just going to sew along both of these little edges here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now let's remove the clips. You guys, you're pretty much done. That is seriously how quick and easy this is. So now what I'm going to do is just trim down right along the straight edge. Remember, I'm always looking at the bottom of the bag. I'm not really looking at this side. It's going to get a little tricky to figure out where to cut on this side. But if you flip it upside down and look at the bottom of the bag, you can see where the edge of your material is and just trim it down like that. There we go. So now I'm going to grab my 2 cuts of binding, and if you hate binding more than anything, you will be fine with this, okay? This is so quick and easy. You're going to love it. So I'm just going to wrap my binding wrong side around this edge. And the trick with this is that I like to make sure one side is a little bit longer than the other. So the top side, which is the side I'm going to be looking at when I sew, I make that a little bit higher up than the back. So that way I know for sure when I'm sewing that I'm catching the back of my binding. Now, if you sew this down and you realize you caught the front, so the top, what you can see of your binding, but you didn't catch the back of it, that's totally fine. Just do a second row of stitching, just flip it over, do a second row of stitching down the bottom. This is not a detail that is noticeable to anyone. So again, I just kind of like lay my binding underneath like this, and then I fold it over, making it just slightly, like a 1/16 of an inch, you know, higher up than the back. And that just ensures that I catch both edges. Okay, so now I'm going to sew both of these edges of binding down. I go in pretty much just right down the middle, but more like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch away from the raw edges in putting down the binding. I backstitch at the beginning and the end, but only where the fold is of the bag as well. All right, now that that binding is trimmed down, I just trim down the little short edges. Just kind of line it up with the edge of the bag I mean, look at that. Look at that. So simple. And now, unzip it more and just rotate this bag right side out. Make sure you poke out those corners. Look at how stinking cute that is. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? Holy guacamole, it's so cute. All right, let's go ahead and do a couple flowers. Let's see. So these flowers are fun because you can just kind of pick a spot and put them on like that. Yeah, I think that'll be cute. So I'm gonna grab my hole punch again, and I'm just gonna punch a hole through the center of the flowers. And let's see, how do I want them to go? Do I want them like this? I want them more towards the center, or like this, or like this. No, not like that. Probably like this. So I'll just do these one at a time. The first flower is gonna go right here. I'm gonna grab my marking tool and mark in that hole that I punched. So it's just a little dot right there. And I'm gonna flatten out the lining and the exterior and gently punch a hole through both the lining and the exterior. And I'm gonna grab these adorable little mushroom looking dome rivets and the back end, so the one with the post goes in through the lining. And then I don't remember which flower was gonna go here, but I'll take this flower here and then push that over the post and then take the little dome and snap that down. And I'm gonna press this first. So I'm just gonna press this with my rivet. Okay, so now the second one, I think I want this one to go like right there. And so I'll just mark through the hole so I know where to put my stuff. So once I have that hole punch, I just insert the post through that, put my flower over it. How cute. Let's rotate a little bit, add the little mushroom cap, and then press this down. And then there we go. Let's zip it up, take a look. Oh, that's so cute. This is one side. Here's what I'm calling the back with the tag. Open it up, nice and big. Let's see, you can put all your things in here. Let's see, I've got my little ruler. This, I can even put a stiletto. Look at that, you can put everything in there. Look at this. Put this in there. What? I can even stick that in there. This is adorable. Oh my gosh, I have to make so many of these. I love this. You guys, how stinking cute did this turn out? What's the front? What's the back? I don't know. They both look so good. Either one could be the front or the back. I love this, and I love adding that little bit of floral bling to the top, and I love the cork on the middle, and I just love the tag on there. I love this pouch so much. I think I'm actually gonna, well, we'll see. I might put this one in the shop because I know some of you guys would really, really love this pouch. And then I use the waterproof canvas again. But I'm gonna have to make myself one of these. If I do put this in the shop, I have to make myself one of these because this is so stinking cute. So you can see at this point I have made 4, and with plans to make many, many more because I can't think of anybody in my life who wouldn't love this. I'm actually trying to think of somebody who would be like, I don't really want that. Like everybody I know, my dad, my mom, my kids, teachers, everybody I know would be like, I love this, and they would use it all the time. So it's a great, great going into the holidays project to have on hand, ready to go. So I really hope you love making these as much as I do. Let me know if you catch the bug and you've made like 5 of them already. If you share these on social media, make sure you tag me. I'd love to see it. If you want to send me an email showing me what you made, I also love that. I'm Jessica@OklaRoots.com, and on social media, I'm just OklaRoots. I hope you're having a great day. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Get out there and make something. Bye, guys.